This debate today, it's about who gets to be an American. What opinions do we have to be counted as Americans? This is what this debate is about, Madam Speaker. There is this idea that you are a suspect if you are an immigrant, or if you are from certain parts of the world, or a certain skin tone, or a Muslim. It is no accident that members of the Republican Party accused the first Black president, Barack Obama, of being a secret Muslim. It is no accident.
The debate over Representative Ilhan Omar's removal from the House Foreign Affairs Committee transcended partisan politics. It became a mirror of America's ongoing struggle with its own values and global identity. For many lawmakers, the decision represented a test of accountability and credibility. Could someone with a record of controversial statements truly speak for America on the world stage? To Republicans, Omar's position on the committee undermined the integrity of U.S. diplomacy and demanded correction. In the end, the clash underscored a deeper truth. Members of the Foreign Affairs Committee are not just policymakers, but embodiments.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I yield 2 minutes to the gentlelady from the great state of New York, Nicole Malliotakis.
The gentlewoman from New York is recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We've heard from my colleagues the reasons why the Representative Omar should be removed from this committee, but I feel like all the reasons have not just yet been stated, which is why I rise to add for the record. We've heard about the comments that were made regarding anti-Semitism and anti-Israeli views, but I rise to add to the record that as a member of the Foreign Affairs Committee, I've sat there and heard the representative actually spew anti-American rhetoric as well. I've been in that committee room where the representative equates Israel and the United States to Hamas and the Taliban. Absolutely unacceptable for a member of that committee. I've also heard the representative equate that it is the United States' fault that there is turmoil in Venezuela, that is not because of the oppressive socialist and communism that has spread throughout Central and South America and Venezuela at the hands of the Maduro and Hugo Chavez regimes. That is unacceptable.
Next voice. As tensions rose over Representative Ilhan Omar's position on the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Republicans emphasized a shared commitment among lawmakers, the oath to uphold the Constitution and place America's interests first. They argued that Omar had drifted from that duty through remarks that appeared to question her loyalty to American ideals. Her critics cited statements that seemed to minimize the tragedy of 9/11, sharply condemn Israel, and implicate the U.S. in global injustices, not as isolated missteps, but as a recurring pattern of rhetoric unfit for someone shaping foreign policy. Supporters of her removal insisted the issue was not about suppressing differing opinions, but about holding every member to the same ethical and diplomatic standards. Representative Nicole Malliotakis of New York emerged as one of the most outspoken voices, recalling moments when Omar equated the U.S. and Israel with groups like Hamas and the Taliban, comparisons she condemned as offensive and unacceptable. Malliotakis warned that such statements weaken America's moral standing, strain alliances, and compromise the committee's integrity. Her message cut through the partisan divide, underscoring a fundamental truth. Leadership in foreign affairs requires not just intellect and conviction, but unwavering respect, loyalty, and a clear defense of the nation's core values. Next voice, Malliotakis didn't stop there.
And as a New York representative, to hear the representative belittle, to try to diminish the worst terrorist attack on United States soil on September 11, 2001, as some people did something, that is unacceptable as well. And I hold the same standard for this side of the aisle that I do the other, because when another colleague on my side said something about 9/11, I also voted to have her removed from the Education Committee because I thought that was inappropriate. So I'm being consistent here, and I hope my colleagues will do the same to show that this is about consistency and accountability, because we should not have an individual with those views on the committee that is tasked with representing our country and our Congress to foreign nations. I yield back.
The gentlelady yields back.
Georgia seek recognition.
Mr. Speaker, pursuant to Clause 2A.1 of Rule 9, I seek recognition to give notice of my intent to raise a question of the privileges of the House. The form of the resolution is as follows.
Recognized.
Censuring Representative Ilhan Omar of Minnesota. Whereas elected members of Congress take an oath to bear true faith and allegiance to the United States without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. Whereas Representative Ilhan Omar took an oath of allegiance to the United States upon becoming a citizen, declaring, "I absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate."
She went on to highlight additional moments from Representative Ilhan Omar's record that, in her view, exposed a troubling pattern of misplaced blame and anti-American sentiment. She reminded Congress of instances where Omar appeared to attribute Venezuela's collapse primarily to U.S. policies, overlooking the devastation caused by socialist leaders Hugo Chavez and Nicolas Maduro. To Malliotakis, this was not a mere policy disagreement but a revealing window into a worldview that repeatedly shifted fault away from oppressive regimes and onto the United States. Such rhetoric, she warned, was more than misguided, it was dangerous. By excusing tyranny and portraying America as the antagonist on the global stage, Omar's remarks, Malliotakis argued, undermined the very principles the Foreign Affairs Committee was meant to defend. These examples, she said, confirmed that Omar's controversial statements were not isolated incidents, but part of a consistent narrative at odds with America's mission and values. Lawmakers chosen to represent the nation abroad, Malliotakis insisted, must uphold its ideals, not disparage them. Keeping Omar in her position, she concluded, would weaken
state or sovereignty of whom or which I have heretofore been a subject or citizen. Whereas on January 27, 2024, Representative Omar gave remarks at an event in Minneapolis in which she made treasonous statements. Whereas Representative Omar said she has spoken to many Somalians who asked her to intercede for the Somali government by pressuring the United States government into certain actions. Whereas Representative Omar assured the Somalians she spoke to, the U.S. government will only do what Somalians in the U.S. tell them to do. They will do what we want and nothing else. They must follow our orders, and that is how we will safeguard the interest of Somalia. Whereas Representative Omar continued, for as long as I am in U.S. Congress, Somalia will never be in danger. Its waters will not be stolen by Ethiopia or others. Sleep in comfort knowing I am here to protect the interest of Somalia from inside the U.S. system.
She concluded, would weaken U.S. moral authority and diminish its credibility, a risk Congress could no longer justify. Next voice, next voice. Perhaps the most powerful and emotional moment of the debate came when Representative Nicole Malliotakis revisited Ilhan Omar's infamous 9/11 remark, the description of the terrorist attacks as some people did something. For Malliotakis, a New Yorker representing a state that bore the brunt of that unimaginable tragedy, the comment struck a deeply personal and painful chord. She reminded her colleagues that 9/11 was not just a historical event, but a living wound for countless families who continue to mourn loved ones lost that day. Malliotakis argued that minimizing such an atrocity was unacceptable for anyone in Congress, especially for a member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, a body tasked with representing America's values and moral clarity on the world stage. She also pointed out that she had previously supported the removal of a Republican lawmaker for making a similarly insensitive 9/11 comment, emphasizing that her stance was rooted in principle not part.
Whereas George Washington warned in his farewell address of 1796 to guard against the impostures of pretended patriotism, and further declared citizens by birth or choice of a common country, that country has a right to concentrate your affections. The name of American, which belongs to you in your national capacity, must always exalt the just pride of patriotism more than any appellation derived from local discriminations. Whereas these statements by Representative Omar clearly violate the oath she took as an elected member of Congress to defend and protect the United States Constitution. Whereas Representative Omar has exhibited the treasonous tendencies George Washington warned about, and her actions must be condemned by all members of Congress who adhere to the oath they took upon assuming office.
Principle, not partisanship. That acknowledgement gave her appeal added weight, showing that her call for accountability was guided by conscience rather than politics. In that moment, her words transcended party lines, echoing through the chamber as a solemn reminder that leadership demands both empathy and integrity. For Meliatakis, the issue was not revenge or ideology. It was about honoring the memory of those lost, upholding consistency, and defending the values that unite Americans even in the face of deep political divides. Next voice. Next voice. The debate reached its dramatic peak when the House formally introduced a resolution to censure Representative Ilhan Omar, accusing her of acting as a foreign agent. The measure focused on comments she reportedly made in Minneapolis, where she told a Somali-American audience that the U.S. government will do what we want, and vowed to defend Somalia's interests from within the American political system. For her critics, those words marked a breaking point, not just a lapse in judgment.
And whereas by openly admitting her efforts to advance Somalia's interest, using her position as a United States representative, Representative Omar has revealed herself to be a foreign agent acting on behalf of a foreign government. Now, therefore be it resolved that Representative Ilhan Omar of Minnesota be censured. Representative Ilhan Omar forthwith present herself in the well of the House of Representatives for the pronouncement of censure. Representative Ilhan Omar be censured with the public reading of this resolution by the Speaker, and Representative Ilhan Omar be and is hereby removed from the Committee of the Budget and the Committee on Education.
A breaking point, not just a lapse in judgment, but a potential betrayal of trust that cast serious doubt on her loyalty to the nation she serves. The resolution contended that such statements were incompatible with the responsibilities of a U.S. lawmaker, suggesting Omar had placed the interests of a foreign country above those of the United States. To her opponents, this was the final and most alarming example in a pattern of behavior unworthy of a member of Congress, especially one involved in shaping America's foreign policy. Supporters of the censure framed it as a necessary stand, not against dissent, but in defense of national loyalty and integrity. Next voice, next voice. The controversy over Representative Ilhan Omar's remarks ignited one of the most charged and emotional debates Congress had seen in years. Lawmakers accused her of using her platform not to advance U.S. foreign policy, but to undermine it, adopting rhetoric they viewed as bordering on disloyalty. Critics argued that by depicting America's actions abroad as oppressive or self-serving, Omar had crossed a line from legitimate dissent into what some described as treasonous speech. What began as a political dispute quickly evolved into a broader national reckoning over patriotism, free expression, and the duties of elected office. Supporters defended Omar as a representative amplifying the voices of Somali Americans and other marginalized communities, while conservatives countered that her words eroded public trust and jeopardized national security. As the debate spilled across social media and news outlets, it became more than a congressional issue. It turned into a cultural flashpoint. Hashtags, viral clips, and opinion wars reframed the controversy as a clash between free speech and patriotism. Republican lawmakers responded by introducing resolutions to censure Omar and remove her from key committees, arguing that her record revealed questionable loyalty to the United States. To strengthen their position, they invoked history, citing George Washington's farewell address, which warned against pretended patriotism and the dangers of foreign entanglements. Through that lens, Omar's case became a test of moral clarity and allegiance, not merely a partisan dispute. For conservatives, her removal from the House Foreign Affairs Committee represented more than a political maneuver. It was a symbolic victory, a reaffirmation that defending America's honor transcends party lines. They contended that the move restored integrity and accountability to a body that serves as the nation's diplomatic face to the world. Omar, they noted, still retained her seat and her voice. But the privilege of shaping foreign policy, they argued, must be reserved for those who uphold the nation's values and respect its allies.